I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you're on the lifeboat. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Let's see who we got. Seventh Son, the Major. Thank you. Jason, good to see you, Jason. Miss V, the Seventh Son, but of course, he's as constant as the Northern Star. Oh, look at that. I'm not even muted. See that? Sorry, people. Oh. All right, that's it. Sorry about that. So, I'm home. Got back yesterday from my vacation. KB Nordic, good to see you. People, as I said the other day from the hotel room, Joanna W., good to see you. It was absolutely amazing, people. It really was. It was better than I could have ever hoped that it would have been. Even after building it up in my mind for as long as I did, it was just beautiful. You know, it was what a great opportunity, and she's going to be coming out to see me in July. I'm going to spend at least a week here, maybe a little bit longer. So very, very cool. But yesterday was the travel day from hell. I got to tell you about this travel day. I really do, because it was just, I've said many times on the show, there was a period of time in my life where I worked as a public speaker. And when I did, sometimes you were flying 3 times a week, sometimes you were flying 4 times a week, but it was constantly. You fly, you get out of the airport, you grab a rent-a-car, right? Go to the hotel, check in. More often than not, the speech was done at the hotel room. So everything was like centrally located. Then immediately when it was over, you're on the next plane. And that kind of road rash, they used to call it, that kind of schedule eventually just starts to drive you crazy. But that happened to me in a day. I guess I'm just an old man, but it was just a terrible travel day. I had to be at the airport at 11 o'clock in Cali. So keep in mind, the night before, I turned in the rent-a-car the night before, right? Because I didn't want to deal with it in the morning. So I didn't get in until really, really late from the graduation. So I turned the rent-a-car in, and I told you I lost the cable, all of those stupid things, right? I mean, didn't bring the right cable. So I get to the airport at 11 o'clock. I fly out within an hour, right? And I end up in San Jose, which is the Silicon Valley's airport. That's how they sort of brag about it. My layover at that airport was over 5 hours long. And it was just an awful airport to be stuck in for 5 hours. It was awful. And I don't know whether I'm a nice guy or I was raised right or whatever, but if I'm sitting in one of those chairs, they had the big, sort of puffy chairs at the end of both sides of the terminal, was a place for you to sit down if you were going to be stuck there for any length of time. And they had uncomfortable chairs, and then they had big, huge, puffy ones that was just absolutely incredible. So I would go and sit down in one and go, right? And the second I did, 2 women, or a family would walk up, a couple of women and a woman with a child, and I would look at all of the other seats and be like, I'd stand up and say, you want these? It happened so many times over the course of the day that I finally just tapped out and started walking the concourse up and back, up and back, up and back. And then I sat down and I watched a couple of people just get completely smashed, right? Because the bar was right there by the terminal. I mean, right by the terminal I was flying out of. So I watched a couple of people go over and just drink with a business-like attitude. I remember looking at these people and just thinking that there's nothing about enjoyment in this. Like, they are pounding down cocktails in order to feel some kind of way. But about 6 times yesterday, somebody would say to me, it is what it is. It was one of those things that all day long people kept repeating. I'd say, I got a 5-hour layover, 5.5-hour layover. Yeah, it is what it is. It's just one of those expressions that I went for the majority of my adult life and never heard anyone say. I don't remember when this became a thing, but it is most assuredly now a thing, and a very big thing. There we go. Now I'm muted. So it was never a thing, and then all of a sudden it was. And it gets used so often. So I sat there in the airport and I started thinking about it. And the majority of people used it the same way. You saw a tail? Yeah, squirrel just jumped up and got a little late for work today. You know, you give the cat a day off and she just loses the whole schedule. But she's back. My hat. Oh, I should have brought my hat with me. Yeah, I would have gotten a much better service. The thing is, not everybody uses it the same way. The majority of people used it as if to say, well, there's nothing you can do about it, right? That's really what it was synonymous with. You know, I got a really long layover. Well, there's nothing you can do about it, right? It is what it is. And in that, kind of definition, in that kind of use, it makes sense to me. But there were people using it in ways that were just sort of bizarre. You know, I actually overheard someone in a conversation use it in Seventh Son says, I hate the new normal. Yeah, that's, you know, I kind of wonder sometimes if they actually have think tanks of people to come up with this stuff, right? Because it's amazing how one person will use something and within a day and a half, every single news outlet will be using that word as if it's been part of our vocabulary our entire life. Gravitas. Do you remember the word? Gravitas. Never heard that word. And I'm a bit of a wordsmith. It's something that I'm into. But my entire life, I never heard the word gravitas. And it started to get used only around elections, right? And it's used as if to say, you know, he or she has that presence. You know, they're not just somebody running for office. They've got gravitas. Like people look at them and go, oh yeah, I could see that person being in office. It's that it factor. It's that thing that just sort of draws people to somebody. And in politics, it usually means they're a great public speaker. They're good at getting out there and, you know, shaking hands or doing whatever. But gravitas was just not a thing. And I remember the first time I heard it on a radio program. And it wasn't 2 days before every single news outlet in the entire world was using it. And yeah, I'm not even being funny when I say I really do wonder if there's sort of a think tank of people that sit around and come up with this crap. I'm so nosy. I want to know what happened with your daughter. Smiles, laughs. Did she like the watch? She freaked out on the watch. She really did. Yeah, she... the whole thing was just beautiful. I mean, I guess I can give you more details if you want. I walked into a Starbucks. That's where I was going to, where we planned to meet. And my daughter is not tall, right? As many of you know, she was born with a very serious heart condition that required a bunch of surgeries. And when you have that at a really young age, it does stunt your growth, right? That's just... So she's about 5'1". And she looks probably 3 or 4 years younger than she is, which is cool, right? I'm trying to explain to her that may not be fun for you now, but that's a great thing, and you should really sort of latch on to that. Starbucks, I'm assuming you have to get a second mortgage. Yes, yeah. It's coffee that, you know, you could go get a cup of coffee or you could get a meal somewhere else. That's kind of how Starbucks works. But I think the idea was that it's, you know, it's a public place, it's out in the open, and it's close to everything she knows. And maybe if I walk in and it's just not a great situation, or we don't hit it off or whatever, she could it just seems safe, I think, was what it was all about. And everyone that was allowing her to come see me, I don't think they wanted her in a car with me. I don't think they wanted her someplace really public, because, you know, I'm liable to rob a bank if it's someplace else, or, you know, walk in with a syringe hanging out of my arm or something. Some of it was just stupid, but they definitely had sort of this regimented thing. So I walked through the front door, And she was sitting on a chair, and I said hello. And as she looked at me, we were probably 5 or 6 feet apart, and she just jumped on me. Like literally just ran and sort of jumped on me. And it was great because she's teeny. So I just I didn't want to let go. It was really just sort of amazing, There was a lot about how everything went down that we've never talked about. I didn't want to, as long as you had a good time and she had a good time, anticipation would have, let me see here, sorry. Anticipation would have been killing you, I'm sure. Yeah, well, for me, that anticipation started 13 years ago when I got shoved out of her life. And hold on one second. Jason Moot says, I've been sober for a little while now, but I probably won't be on here too much. I'm going into a rehab facility and not sure if I will have my phone. Certainly not the first person at the lifeboat who has been in the exact same situation. And I will get back to my daughter, I promise. There have been other people in the exact same situation who said, I may not be able to, to talk to you all. I am heading into to an alcohol detox center, or I'm heading into a rehabilitation center. Good for you, man. We're proud of you, honestly. And that's the best case scenario. It really is. To have professionals there working with you is the best case scenario. But do keep us in the loop. If you have the opportunity. Very often, there's a couple of weeks where you're not going to be allowed to have a phone. You're not going to be allowed to have anything. But that sort of lightens up over a period of time. And you don't have to, you don't even have to get busy. Just go to any one of the videos, leave a comment on any video that just said, want you guys to know I'm doing great or whatever. And thinking of you, just let us know. Let us know that you're okay, because might be stupid, but they knew a different you, Skipper. No, you know something, Seventh? You're right. There's no question. They definitely knew a different me. But the way that this went down, the way it went down was, like I said in the hotel the other day, I don't blame them at all for trying to protect my daughter. And I don't blame them for looking at me like I was a degenerate, because I was. Plain and simple. But how it went down, it just wasn't right. At no point, and everybody listen to this, because this is important. At no point do you ever go to a child and say, your dad doesn't want to be a part of your life. Like, how they didn't realize that was going to destroy a little girl is just something that blows my mind. I can understand keeping us apart, but if they had said to her, your dad's got some issues, right? Dad's got some issues. He's done some things that are illegal or whatever. He's had problems with, drugs and alcohol. He loves you. He wants to be a part of your life, but right now that just isn't working, right? But a day is coming where he'll be there. That really would have been the thing to say. Instead, they really just made it sound like I wanted nothing to do with her, which, never was the case, right? In fact, I kind of got tricked into believing that that was the case. I'm going to lay with my kids right now before I go. Good night, everybody. All right, my friend. Good night. They basically said they wanted to adopt my daughter. And they said to me, if you sign the adoption papers, giving her the right to adopt, that's the only way you're going to get visitation. And, there were lawyers involved, and we were talking and everything else. And keep in mind, I'm incarcerated at the time. And I said, how often will I get to visit? We went through all this, structured everything and did all of that. And I signed the papers, and then it was, you're never seeing her ever. That's it. And, I think it was really tough on my child for a long time, especially really 32 days and counting. Well done, American Justice. Well done. So when she was a little girl, I think that she struggled with the concept that, what was wrong with me that my dad didn't want me. And that just sucks. And And I never did any of this on the phone. I was never going to have this conversation with her on the phone. I just kept saying to her, there was never a time in your life where I didn't want to be in your life. There was never a time that I did not want to be in your life. That was just how it was. Doesn't always work that way. Most people get quite bitter and they poison the children against the absent parents. Oh, well, they did. They absolutely poisoned her. But they poisoned her as if to say, this guy just is such a piece of crap, he doesn't want to be a part of your life. And that to me was, I don't know, I just don't think it's the way you handle it. And it really sort of, messed with her head. But when I got here, I said, I'm going to tell you this story. You're 18 years old. I'm going to tell you where I've been, right? Because there was never a day that I didn't want to be a part of your life. And my son used to tell her that. Like, my son was great. Spence would be like, Dad wants to be here. Don't let them lie to you. Dad wants to be here. And there was sort of a back and forth with it. But I got a chance to sit down and, and say, this is exactly what happened. And when I got to the end of it, she said, finding the energy to do stuff is hard. You're absolutely right, American Justice. It is. But you're doing the right thing. And if anyone else is listening, pay attention. Because getting up and doing that, right? That's living as if. That's living as if it's already under control. That's living as if you can, the sobriety is a part of your life already. And in the beginning, you've got to force yourself to do it. You're not going to have the energy. You're not going to be excited. It's just not, that's something you've really got to do exactly what's happening here with American Justice. This is pushing through. And I've talked about it in my, hey, Stacy, good to see you. I've talked about it in my sobriety where I would get up and go outside, or I would get up and work out, or I would get up and I hated it. Just absolutely hated it. What I wanted to do was lay down and just sort of be, I guess. But truthfully, that's what I had always done, and it never worked. So I got back to trying the, something new, always trying something that I had never tried before, and that seemed to work out. But so I told my daughter, I said, here's what happened, and I kind of spelled it out. And she said, I figured this out really the first time we ever Skyped. And I'm an emotional person. I think everybody that beats drugs very often becomes very emotional, because we're just raw. Our emotions are so close to the surface. But when the first time we had Skype, I was in the halfway house. I just got out of prison. I got the first phone and I called her up, and there was her face, and we were just talking, and I just lost it, and I just couldn't stop crying. Like, I was trying, but I just could not stop for probably 30 minutes. And she said to me, if you didn't want to be a part of my life, I just don't think that would have been the reaction the first time you saw me. But all of that just sort of melted away. It really did. And it was, there was a time in my life where I thought this bridge was way too torched for me ever to be able to reach out to her. Or, I'd always planned on me and being able to do it when she was 18, but I just, in my head, this is not how it went down. It's awesome. It was so fantastic. And, she loves me, which is great. And I love her. And after meeting me and realizing that there was nothing uncomfortable, like there was no downtime, there was no period of adjusting, there was nothing. It was like, father and daughter, just sort of instantly. And because of that, she, instantly, she said, I'd like to come and see you in Nevada. So we set that up, and she's going to be here on the 5th. Chris, Lord Kiss Freak would say, Hulk smash the like button. Yeah, I guess if we were better YouTubers, we'd probably say that all the time too. I think that that's probably something that we should do as YouTubers. My trip was emotional. And then to have the layover, and you make a good point, because the day before it was like just raw emotion, for such a long period of time, that once that was over, it was like I had a hangover, like an emotional hangover. And on top of that, I had to travel and do all that. It was tough. And I'm not complaining. I loved every single bit of it. But yeah, it was, my daughter is only 15, 3 more years to wait. Miss V, it's going to be amazing when that 3 years is up. I promise you. Thank you, Joanna W. I appreciate that. I really do. And you know what? Thoughts and prayers for Lord Kiss Freak. I know that he's having a tough time these days. So if you could think about him, just keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Because I'll tell you something. He's a really amazing person. Truthfully. Just one of the nicest people of anyone that I've ever met online. Hands down. One of the nicest people I've ever met online. He's just an amazing guy. And if you've never seen his interview, then you really need to. You need to watch that interview. When as a former dealer of cocaine, he apologized to the people that he used to sell dope to on an interview. It was, I mean, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. We didn't know it was coming. He didn't say it was coming, and it was just, it was just one of those things that really was incredible. The guy went to Dad's today, an hour one way. He gave me his 85 Mini Winnie, and it took 2.5 hours to get back. Voltage regulator. All right, what is a Mini Winnie? Oh, is that a Winnebago? Mini Winnebago? That's absolutely brilliant. I can't find the words to describe how I think you must feel. So good to hear good news. I kind of struggled with the words myself. And it's strange when you do this, right? Because obviously we spend a really decent amount of time live. So, yeah, the Winnebago RV. I thought about that right after I said it, Guy. I really did. But, so anytime something happens, whether it's funny or whatever, there's that brief second of it just being part of my life. And then instantly I think, how does this translate? Is this something you share with the boat? And if it is, is there a moral in this, or is there a point to it, or whatever? And then how do I put this into words? And what happened with my daughter, I honestly don't. I know I'm not doing a particularly good job of putting it into words, but I'm not sure that I have them. I think we are all pretty amazing here, full of empathy and compassion, not judgmental, and so supportive. We are nice people, no question. And I really, hold on one second, Maria D. Hey, y'all, one of my favorite sayings is what it is. Don't have much data, so I can't hang around too long, but easy does it. Well, we're glad that you're here, and save your data, right? But when you get some more, please come back and visit us on the lifeboat, please. And thank you for being here. Full of hope. When I first started the lifeboat, and we were talking about, sort of what the mission of the lifeboat was. One of the things that, we really beat on was we wanted to show people that recovering addicts were not just as good as everybody else, right? Because that's one of the battle cries out there is, people, once they're in recovery or whatever, they're as good as anyone else. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all's kindness. Maria D, we really appreciate you being here. This, as we're saying, it's a pretty nice crew of people here. But it was one of those situations that I found myself realizing that it's not just that we're as good as everybody else. In many ways, we're superior. And I'm not suggesting people should go get a drug habit so that they can, end up a better person. But the truth is that once you get through that and you end up on the other side, you really can't be judgmental, right? It changes who you are fundamentally. It changes how you view people who are hurting. It changes how you view the homeless. It changes how you view anyone that finds themselves in a situation like that. You know what I mean? And I wasn't that person at one time in my life, but after getting sober, I certainly was. It's nice to be nice. And if your friend needs support, let them know we're here. Yeah, you know what? It's so many people. A lot of my life depends on my sobriety. I've stretched crap out for so long and making excuses every step of the way. Well, you shouldn't feel unique in that. You know, everybody does that. And I can say without reservation that every single thing in my life hinges upon exactly this. If I do not remain sober, then there is really just no point in anything. I'm just not who I'm supposed to be. And it translates to every single part of my life. It's not just that all of a sudden I'm getting high and I don't have control. When I'm on dope, I don't care about anybody. You know, I don't care about family when I'm on dope. I certainly wouldn't care about anybody here. You know, and you are extended family now, for real. Hey, DJ Daddio, it's good to see you, Mr. T. Love you, bud. I didn't see you earlier, sorry. Jackson, good to see you. This is one of those things that literally, you know, people like to say, you know, sobriety and, you know, or you know, God, family, sobriety or sobriety. There's no God in my life if I'm on heroin. None. I promise you. Been there, done that. And God is a very large part of my life when I'm not on heroin. My family is a very large part of my life when I'm not on heroin. But when I am, there's no family either. There's also no business. There's no anything, right? That's why this really is the linchpin. Everything else hinges on that. And the beautiful thing is that Mark did a show a long time ago, and he talked about how one of the most important things when you first get sober is to create an entire new group of memories and do it fast. Because, you know, we use me as an example. After 35 years of doing dope, I didn't have a memory that I could remember that didn't have dope in it. Like everything that... no watches. Oh, yeah, no. Here's the thing. The watches are the first thing that ends up in the pawn shop if you're doing dope. That's just the way it is, right? The first things that you pawn are things that you don't have to have in order to live. And, I mean, the number of times I bought just the most beautiful watches in the world, Rolexes, you know, whatever, and they're pawned, you know. So many souvenirs and so many memories and so many heirlooms that just, because none of that means anything. But as Mark said, you get in here and you start creating new memories and new laughs, right? All of these, because the first time you realize that there was something really great that happened in your life and dope had nothing to do with it, and you can actually look back at what happened and think, that is a memory. Right? That's something I want to hold on to for the rest of my life. And there was no dope involved in that at all. None. Right? That's a life-changing experience. You know? And I've been sober, good Lord, you know, rapidly approaching the 7-year mark. And it doesn't change for me. Every single time there's a new memory, I honestly savor it. You know what I mean? For real. Like, I want to remember all of it. And I want it to be something, you know, I took a lot of souvenirs home from this graduation. And, you know, I remember, I'm not kidding, I was in that little tunnel watching the ceremony. And when they fired off those confetti cannons, they must actually use something other than air, because there was this smell. And it was very much, you know, almost like gunpowder kind of a thing. And I will remember. I wanted all of that. I wanted to be able to remember that smell. I wanted to be able to remember every single part of this, because this is going to be something that, or that moment in that moment in Starbucks when my daughter just jumped on me. You know, that's a freaking memory, man. You know, I got nothing in the databanks from when I was on dope. Nothing that's a tenth of that. Nothing. You know, what have I got? Some rock concerts? For real. And then a lot of stuff that I did that was just rotten, you know? I pulled the Winnie up to the girlfriend's today when I got into tow. My trucker buddy lives in a block away from me, and I'm storing it there until I fine-tune it. And her 5-year-old girl, so smart, got a tour. Nice. I'm telling you, people, I think it's very easy to get caught in the past. And we talk about this all the time. All I could think was, hey, kiddo, you're going to get to enjoy it more later when I have more time under my belt. Damn right. Right? Damn right. It's the applicable, right? It's the hands-on. It's the real deal. We spend a lot of time talking about how the windshield is huge, right? And the little rear view mirror is very small. There's a reason for that, because you're supposed to spend more of your life looking forward than you do looking back. Unfortunately, even for, you know, the people that have been in sobriety for a really long time, it's difficult. It's difficult to not get trapped, spending a lot of time thinking about the past. And I mean, granted, you want to learn from it, but then get the hell away from it. I mean, once you've learned from it, don't live in it. Don't let it fester. Don't do any of that. Create new memories, man. Get out there and do it. I need 6 months sobriety for her to spend quality time with me. Her father's words. You know what, man? God bless her dad. I'm serious. You know, that's, first of all, he could say to you, I want 5 years or whatever, but number one, he cares. And number two, he's giving you a chance, right? He's giving you a really no BS, legitimate chance to be in this girl's life. You need 180 days of no booze. 180. You want a why? I mean, we talk about this, right? The first page, you write down your why. And I've said so many times, you know, you got to do it for yourself. Well, yourself doesn't always motivate you enough to not get looped on a day that you really feel like you got to get looped. But this does. Holy crap, what a great why. Right? Think of that little girl. Before you take that step, right? I promise you, alcohol doesn't jump down the back of your throat, right? Drugs don't jump in a needle, you know, sneak up on you while you're sleeping and spike you in the arm. You know? Yes, my daughter was my motivation. Well, mine too. Mine too. My daughter and my dad. Those were my two really big whys, you know, when I first started this. You know? And hearing Tommy's ice clinking is making me want an iced drink. This is iced tea, the kind you make with powder. I think I drank about 2 gallons of it today. I was working in the yard and doing some stuff. But I love it. It's really, really sweet, but it is pretty good. Yeah, this is the greatest why in the world. I mean, this is it. Write it on things. I kid you not, man. Write it on things. Put it over the door, right? So when you're walking out of the house, you give it a slap. This is it. You need 180 days. And you know, let's be really honest. You need the rest of your life. But at 180 days, that's a milestone. And it's a milestone that will be rewarded. And damn, how cool will that be? Right? Not just for you, but for her. How many times have we said that one sober person creates all of those ripples, and that effect can go out so far, right? Well, this is it in a nutshell. You're looking directly at it. Your sobriety is going to dramatically change this child's life. Or you being drunk will. Sorry, man, but that's it. It really is. My daughter and my wife are huge motivators right now. Even though I'm out of the house, it is getting better. You know what, Jonathan? Sometimes that's what it takes, right? Sometimes that's what it takes. I'll drink ice water or ice in my soda, but no tea. You don't like tea, or you don't put ice in the tea? I'm not sure which way you're going with that. But you may not like iced tea. I love iced tea. And I hate to say it, but the kind that you just get the powder, it's always way sweeter. I know somebody's going to yell at me right now that you got to brew the tea. You don't like tea. Oh, well, then you definitely wouldn't like this. I'm terrible about not drinking enough. You know something? I definitely don't drink enough fluids. I like the shirt. Major, have you not seen this before? Check this out. All right, and then on the back, what do we got? Give me seeing that? Let's see there. Yeah, there you go. This is this is a lifeboat cruise shirt. I couldn't do it for myself because I hated myself so much. I was disgusted, but my 5-year-old kissing her goodnight while I slipped out to AA meetings. She's 21 now and knows everything. How awesome is that? For real. How awesome is that? You know, I've said this so many times before, and I got to agree wholeheartedly with exactly what she just said. You know, when people say you got to do it for yourself, well, when you first start to get sober, you can't stand yourself, right? And often with really good reasons. You know, we do a lot of stuff that we're not proud of. And then we need to go like this, flick a switch, and instantly care so much about ourselves that we're going to do it for us. BS. Sorry, that's just BS. Honestly, you know where I stand on this. There are times, especially in the beginning, where you do this for other people. You do this for other people. You know why? Because they're without blame. They're without blame. Especially kids. Good Lord. I want one, Tommy. Put some more out, please. Yeah, I got you. Really good reasons. Yep. Yeah. I mean, motivation. Absolute motivation. Come on, behave. If you're going to have a cup of tea, then have a cup of tea, milk, and 2 sugars. Oh, what was I thinking? Good Lord, what was I thinking? We got got somebody from across the pond, and I talked about making a instant tea. Oh, he's going to hate me. Maria D says, I went to AA meetings with my dad all my life. Hope he isn't looking at my posts. Best thing that ever happened to me in my life. To meet these folks. Very cool. Very cool. And you know what? I have a sneaky suspicion that if your dad saw these posts, he'd be happy. Really. You know? It's, everybody slips. Everybody in the world is susceptible to the condition that we have found ourselves in. Some of us are far more susceptible. And if dad was taking you to meetings, well, then probably genetically you have a predisposition, right? Doesn't get you off the hook. Doesn't mean, well, you were born with this or there's nothing you could do. It's a disease of choice, right? It really is. But there are some people that can get it a whole lot easier than others. I don't think I was one of them. I think, I just abused the hell out of it for so long that there was no turning back. I use Splenda instead of sugar. After leaving prison, I don't think I ever want to use some sugar substitute again as long as I live. Because they don't want you making booze out of sugar. There's everything you get is some kind of a chemical, fake aspartame or whatever it is. See this? Look at this. Oh, I beat myself up today. I was working in the yard and I just tore myself up. I was cutting down tree limbs. And that's when they used to sit around and smoke a lot of cigarettes, smoke everywhere. Yeah, that was back in the days where there would be a cigarette can on the center of the table that was overflowing. I remember back in the day, it was the same way for NA, and people used to say to me, go down there and volunteer to empty ashtrays. Don't leave the building, right? Just get involved, be down there. A didn't do anything for me, but it does work for some people. Major, nothing for me. Nothing. But I've said many times before, indirectly, it did a lot for me because the 2 cats that started it were the first people to realize that forget medicine, forget doctors, forget, shrinks. The only way to get sober, especially back then, The only way to get sober is these guys said, no, I can't stop. I don't have the capability to stop. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Tomorrow, I won't let you drink. And if you do the same thing tomorrow, right? So these two guys said, I will keep you sober tomorrow. And he said, I'll keep you sober tomorrow. And, you know, we stand on the backs of giants. These people were absolute giants, you know? And without them, yeah, fellowship. And you know, we said so many times before. Hold on a second. Did you notice any similar behaviors or mannerisms between you and your daughter? Oh, good Lord, yes. Oh, good Lord, yes. Absolutely. And really odd stuff. But, you know, it was funny because her favorite subjects in school, right? She took a lot of stuff in drama, right? She was in the International Thespian Society. I was. Loves public speaking. Took courses in it. Has gone out of her way to basically put herself in positions where she would get up and do that. And trust me, she didn't get that from mom's side of the family. My dad said AA is a way of life. I have seen tons of people stop drinking or using. And if they slipped, so what? We had a great supporting group. Yeah, you know what? For a lot of people, it is a way of life. And my big problem with AA, and I've said it a million times, so the crew is probably tired of me saying this, but right now in the U.S., if you get in any trouble at all, they say, you got to go to AA. I want you to bring me 90 meetings in 90 days, right? Or AA, right? 90 meetings in 90 days. So the place gets full of people that don't want to be there, right? At all. People that just do not want to be there. Brandon Taylor, hello. Thanks for stopping on by, Brandon T. Welcome to the lifeboat. Stacy Michael says, AA was good for me. I'll keep today and tomorrow. Alrighty. So once they start to water down the meetings, then it really didn't work too well for me. Got the chance to pop in at work. Well, we're glad that you did. Jonathan Hicks said, oh my God, I have not been here in a minute, just figuring out what's going on. Good for you. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Been a minute since you were here. I went and met my daughter in person for her high school graduation, and it was absolutely incredible. Things I've been going through makes me want to drink. Then I remember what happens to me when I do, so I don't. I'll tell you something else, Miss B. 3 years from now, right? You got 3 more years. And you live as if those 3 years were already over. You live as if you could be meeting her in 2 weeks or 2 days. And if you live the rest of your life like that, you're never going to have any regrets. None. You know, how many people do you think on their deathbed said, you know, if I could do it all over again, I'd have done more heroin, right? If I could do it all over again, I think I'd have done a lot more cocaine. My dad had to sign a lot of papers stating these folks the judges said had to go. Dad didn't care for that. But it is what it is. Yes, it is what it is. The crazy thing is they say, you know, you got to do it for you. If you're not ready, then it's pointless to be there. And then they say, go. Right? Go. Meetings in 90 days. And, you know, for me, you know, I would be in there and there would be a guy sitting next to me going, like nodding out. And I'm not hanging out in there. I mean, really, it's just not, for me, it was not a good scene. It's not going to work if it's imposed upon you. You need to want to do it. Major. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. If you're forced, you know, you can't force somebody into something like that. It just doesn't work. Seven Sun said, air used to be free at the gas station. Now it costs $2.50. You want to know why? Inflation. Oh, no. Walks right into that. And you got to put it on a credit card. Seventh, they don't even take quarters anymore. It's $2.50 and you got to put it on a credit card. Exactly. The first step, admit you have a problem, right? And your life has become unmanageable. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know something? Whether you do NA, AA, or anything else, right? I don't care how you get there. And I don't care what, if you go with a God-based program, if you go with, an atheist-based program, I don't care what program you go with, whether it's the lifeboat or some other method of just, if you don't admit you got a problem, you're wasting your time, right? And occasionally, it's rare, but occasionally I still come across people who will say to me, well, I know I was a little out of control. I mean, yeah, I got a problem, but it's not like I'm addicted, right? My problem was that I let things get out of control, and you just look at it and go, no, man. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be here when you realize that you do have a problem, because it's one of those things. Full of Hope says, gotta sleep. Blessed night. Thank you all. So glad you were here. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Great to see you. Seventh best dad joke ever. No, he had a better dad joke. He left it in the comments section the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but he said, I haven't slept for 3 days because that would be too long. But that one made me laugh. That one made me laugh. I thought that was pretty good. It's really funny, people. Hold on one second. I should almost put these people occasionally on the air just to really bum them out, because I got a guy that is sending me things, and he said to me, I think you're kind of being rude. I asked you to watch this. Have you watched it? I said, yeah, I'm live right now, I don't think I'm the one being rude. Wouldn't change anything. Yep. Speaking of atheists, and then I lost it. Message retracted. That's why I lost it. The major wouldn't change anything except it's on DJ Daddy. Good night, Hope. Oh, is Hope leaving? Oh, yes. I said goodbye. Full of Hope. I was looking for the full. All right, people. Sorry. Let me get squared away here. My goodness. I can't even find... There we go. There you go. There you go. Brandon Calloway. Good to see you, Brandon. Now we got competing Brandons. It retracted. Thank you, Joanna W. Thank you. Miss Hermit Hill, Kentucky says hello. All right, people. You know what? I think we were on a pretty good stretch there. It's a little off topic, right? But it is what it is. The subject of your why. Sometimes there's, you can look back on the person you are with your habit, and sort of a negative motivator, right? I don't want to be that person again. And I do it. I do it all the time. I look at how badly I destroyed my life when I was on, drugs, and how many other lives I destroyed. And that has become a great motivator. But in the very beginning, it had to be somebody else. It really had to be somebody else, because I just couldn't stand myself. The boat, love you, Joanna. Yes, the boat does love Joanna. No question. The boat is a great anchor for so many of us. You know what? Me too. Me too. It really is. I love this boat and crew. Thank you, Pamela. I think, it's... it really has, it has definitely become an anchor for me. When we talked about taking some time off, I don't know how well I'm going to do with time off. Just keeping it real. This has become such a part of what I do in my sobriety. It is what it is, right? Or is it? I was crying when I got here. Now I'm smiling. Excellent. It's always good. That's always good. I think I'd be nervous, to take a couple of weeks off. This is, I work through things. You know what I mean? I really do. I work through things here. It's just one of those, like core part of not just the sobriety anymore, but just life in general. If something is gnawing at me, something's bothering me or whatever, this is the final tool in the toolbox. If I can't sit down and get the head going right, and if I can't, start trying to get perspective and going through all of the steps that we've talked about so many times in the other shows, then I hit it with a bigger hammer, right? At that point, I look to a power greater than myself. Twice, right? Because obviously I pray, and I very much believe that is a power greater than myself. But you people are a power greater than myself. Plain and simple. It's my roommate daughter's birthday. She turned 3. It was an amazing day. It shows me why I stopped drinking. Good. Brandon, proud of you. And you know what? We're just talking about that. These are the kind of motivators that keep you in the game. Very often it's not enough to say, well, I just need to get better, or I really want to quit, because especially right in the beginning of the process of quitting, we don't like ourselves enough to really try to, to try to use us as the motivator. Joanna W. says, I'm wearing a shirt that you wear down off of your shoulders. Was given to me. I only wear it at home because I feel half naked in it. Modesty lives. That's funny, Joanna W. That really is funny. I have to go off on a rant. And I actually told myself I wasn't going to do this because I sound like an old man, right? But, this graduation was in California, right? California's different anyway. I'm not busting on California. I'm really not. But let's be honest. Cali is different. It is different than any other place on the planet. And it tends to be a little bit more wild, I guess. A little bit more, wild. Maybe a little bit less modest. But going to this graduation, the number of girls who had to be underclassmen, right? Because they weren't graduating. Wearing things that I'm looking at these girls going, good Lord. If someone had worn that in my hometown, back when I was in high school, you would have thought she was a prostitute. I mean, for real. Some of these outfits were just learning that using to feel better is not loving yourself. Learning to not use is learning to love yourself. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, did you ever really feel better? Honestly, Brandon, I mean, I used to talk myself into that crap. I need a shot. For me, it was I was either shooting or smoking heroin, and I talked myself into the fact that I couldn't feel right without it. You know what I mean? That it made me happy. I took it to not be sick, but it hadn't made me happy in years. I mean, years. It's just, these are the lies we tell ourselves. The fallacy of, oh, well, I'm a lot happier when I'm doing drugs. No, you're not. I promise you're not. You're miserable. For real. And once you start to really get a grip on that, once you start to get a real understanding of the fact that this stuff doesn't make you happy. Quite the opposite. It may have made you happy the first time you did it, right? The first time you do a drug, it's, there's something fascinating about it or whatever. But, you're 5 or 6 years into your addiction, right? Step back and get a little perspective and be honest with me and tell me that you feel better. Right? Come on. Stacy. Well played, Stacy. I like it. I think he's traveling today. I got, I believe, just look at their phones. 7th. Actually, don't. It's sad. Joanna W. Not over the phone, Stacy. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going down this road. So, back back to it was just the outfits, the language. You know, I was standing in line listening to these people. You know, just kids, just the foulest. I mean, guys didn't talk like that when I was in high school. And I got to tell you one other story because this one was just crazy. Perspective, right? You know, perspective. So I'm in this little tunnel that leads to the bleachers, right? So there's one here, and then there's one on a lower level. I was up the level that was basically even with the parking lot. And there was a man and a woman. I would say probably pretty close to my age. You know, maybe a little bit older, but they might have even been a little younger. I don't know, but definitely, you know, parents. And they were arguing, right? And I mean, really arguing. Like, it was getting ugly, right? And she sort of shoved him, you know, not like trying to knock him down or anything, but she definitely gave him the get away from me kind of a shove. And he slapped her, right? And we've had this conversation, right? You know how I feel about that, right? And and I was right there. And I said to the guy, and I shouldn't, I know, you don't get involved in any of that stuff, right? It was just, but I said, if you touch her again, I'm going to kill you. I mean, literally, I'm going to kill you. You know, you want to argue, you guys can argue all you want, but neither of you are going to slap anybody at my daughter's graduation. Like, you want to do this? Find a different part of the world to do it. And then I tried for the Captain Tommy Scoville moment, you know, where I said to them, and for the love of God, this is your kid's day. You can't you can't fake it, right? For one day, you can't be civil to each other on the biggest day your kid has had so far in life, right? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You really ought to be ashamed of yourself. Hold on. Is this because getting old now? Well, I am getting old. You know, there's no getting around that. I'm getting really old. No, it wasn't something that... it was sad. It was miserable to look at. It really was. And, you know, first of all, I couldn't believe that they were getting physical with it. You know, it's one thing if you want to yell at each other. Again, bad place to do it, right? It's a terrible place to do it. You know, I didn't meet, like my ex and my in-laws walked close enough to me that I could have thrown something at them. Like, they were right there. And they didn't get a really, you know, they never saw me, just sort of walked by. And if they did, they, you know, really, really beautifully pretended that they didn't, because they just walked right on by without saying a word. Stacy, knock that off. A fossil. Knock it off. Stacy's not a fossil. Yeah. So, but the reason that I didn't go up and say hello is because this was my daughter's day, right? The last thing in the world I wanted was friction between me and anybody else, right? So I was doing everything I could to stay as far away from them as possible, right? It is what it is, right? The last thing in the world I wanted to do was do anything that was going to affect my daughter's night. When she thinks of this graduation, I don't want her to think, oh, you remember when Grandma and Grandpa got into that huge argument with Dad, right? That would be a permanent part of her memory forever. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. You know, I'll be the bad guy. You know, I'll do whatever I got to do, but I'm not going to let that happen, right? I'll be the antisocial cat. I'll be whatever, but I am, you know, no friction. Not on the kids' night. That's just, it's rotten and wrong. Plain and simple. And I think if more people just took an attitude of, I'm not going to let anything bad happen today, not on my watch, right? Not at this party, not at this function, not at this graduation. You know, it's just glad the potentially tense situation was avoided, Tommy. Me too, to be really honest with you. And it was a stupid thing to say. It really was like page 2 Tommy kind of stuff. You know what I mean? But I found myself just sort of gritting my teeth. and say, I will kill you. You know, what I should have said was, I will call the police or whatever, but something I really, it's just something about people. I can watch two guys kick the hell out of each other. It doesn't bother me at all, you know? Yeah, I can't watch that. It's not something I'll be able to watch. It's not something I'll ever be able to watch. And I think it's pretty messed up, and nothing is ever going to change that. Happy early birthday to the Major. Major, happy early birthday. Brandon Taylor says, I believe you did the right thing, Tommy. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. I really do. I probably could have been a little more diplomatic, but I wasn't going to let her get hit again. It just wasn't going to happen. It really wasn't. And if he did, I was going to hit him. It's not smart, but I promise you I would have, because if you let that happen, you're as bad as the person doing it. Brandon, thank you, because I believe that. I really do. But I just don't feel like there's enough people out there that I just don't want to be tempted to get drunk. Major, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. Got plenty of reasons not to. Right? Good ones. Got plenty of good ones. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. People, so we're retooling the show. You guys know that. And we're going to be, there's going to be some changes. It's going to be a call-in format. I'm really fired up about this. I really am. I'm excited as heck about this new format. I think this is going to be really, really amazing. Yeah, Major, you better be here with us tomorrow night. Please. Please. Right? We're a power greater than yourself. True story. True story. I'm here every night for that reason. And that, in fact, that kind of dovetails into what I was about to say. I mean, we're doing this, we're making these changes. But in the meantime, I most assuredly want to continue to do shows. I'm gonna try to do them every single day. If that doesn't fly, it will be because something has come up that I literally couldn't get out of doing. They're going to be more freeform. They're going to be more like what we're doing right now. Oh wow, the sound of that clock was awesome. Thank you. It's pretty cool, huh? I got the background. I'll be here tomorrow night, and I will not be drunk. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Proud of you. I mean that. Proud of you. All right, people. Top of the hour. Right? Well done, Major. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. All right, people. I'm going to be here tomorrow night. So are you. Between now and then, reach out. Try to save somebody. Do what the Major just did, too. Right? Don't be afraid to reach out and try to save yourself. And I assume that you guys are starting to call for the cat. And, yeah, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. There is no email. I'm in the Dropbox. CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. That's CaptainTommyScoville@gmail.com. More importantly, this is a cat in a basket. Good night, everybody. Thanks, squirrel. We'll see you tomorrow.